Okay, so today is Java 2 Lesson 6, and today we're going to be learning about string methods. String method. So just like how we can find the length of an array by using ar.length, we can do that and other things with strings as well. So this lesson is a lesson where we go through different types of string methods. We'll talk more about other types of methods later on. So to find the length of a string. So again, just like how we can find the length of an array, we can also find the length of a string. So this is an example of how you can find it. And the method here, and these are called methods, is dot length. So by putting this, you'll be able to find the length of a string. And so this returns the length of a string, which is how many characters are in the string. So this example would output 2, since H is one character and I is another character. Define occurrences of certain characters. So in this first example here, you have a string and then dot index of, and inside these parentheses we have a string, and what this would output is 3. And so as explanation, why this is because this method returns the index of the first occurrence of the character or characters you want to find in a given string. So each character is one element. So what this does in this example is that, so it's looking for DEF in this string. And so it finds that it does occur since you have DEF right here. And then, so it goes to that whatever index it's at, like the first, like whatever index it's at, and it finds the first occurrence of this thing. So if I had a DEF later down the string, then it would still output 3. So what this does, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3 to this first DEF here, and that's why it would output 3. And like arrays, the indices are all starting from 0. So in this one down here, you have the same string here, index of, and this time we're looking for a string ACB. But this time you can see that it doesn't exist in here. There's no ACB here at all. There's an ABC, but there's not an ACB. So it has to be, for it to actually output something, like what you want to output, then it has to be in the same order as it specifies. And what this would output is -1 because there's no occurrence. So whenever you have something that doesn't occur in another string, then it would always output -1 to signify that it doesn't occur. Okay, so define characters. So for this method is named .charat. And inside these parentheses, we have a number instead of like a string. And what this says is that, so I want to find a character at the index of 0 in the string. So in this case, it would output Q, because looking at this, it goes to the 0 index, which is right here. And then it prints out Q because of that. So this returns the character in the string at the index you put in the parentheses. So notice if you put an index too high or lower than 0, so a negative number, then you'll get a string index out of bounds exception, which just means that you entered in a string index that was out of bounds. So this is one of the exceptions that you might encounter, so be aware of this. And also you can use this as you use the other exceptions, so like with try and catch blocks and throwing exceptions. Substrings method number 1. So there's 2 in total, and I'll be going over the second one shortly after. So you can see here in this example, I have .substring, and then inside the parentheses, I also have a number. So what this outputs is ERD. So this method returns the substring. So a substring means like a part of a string from the index entered and to the very end of the string. So the characters in front of the index are not included. Same exception occurs if you enter an index that is out of bounds. So in this case here, we entered a 2. So what this does, it goes to the QWERTY and then counts 0, 1, 2, and starts at the E, and it goes prints out everything from this E and everything after it. So that's why it is ERD. In the second example here, we have dot substring and then a 6 here. So what it does, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But in this case, usually you would expect it to have some exception of some kind, since there is no 6 here. But in this case, for string indices, it adds another index after here. And then, so it'd be, if the y is 5, then there'd be a 6 index here, like right after the y. And since that's empty space, basically, then it wouldn't print out anything. Substring method number 2. So this is this. It uses the same dot substring still, but the difference you can see here is that we have another number here separated by a comma. So what this would output is WE. So this method is the same as the last one, except this one has a lot more freedom with choosing where to start and stop. So it takes the characters starting from the first index, which is the first number, and then ends at the second index minus 1. So same thing applies here with the string index exception. So in this case, we go from the first index, so 0, 1, so this W here, and then we go to the second index, which is this 3, minus 1, so 2. So we go from this W, which is the first index, to number 2, which is this index, and then we print it out, and so it would be WE. And note that these don't automatically print stuff out. You have to actually put it inside a print statement to print it out. I just say print just because it's easier to do it that way. And so you can see in the second example, we have another dot substring, and then we have 2 and 2 here. So what this would output is nothing, so if you think about it, you go from 0, 1, 2 to this E, but then you're trying to go from the second index, 2, minus 1, so that's 1, so 2 and a 1. You would think that it outputs an error or an exception, but it actually just outputs nothing. Outputs nothing because there's nothing there that you could really take advantage of. So that's why it's nothing. And yeah, that would be it for this lesson. It's a sort of short lesson, but it's still pretty important when you're trying to understand how methods work and how strings work. So it's a good practice. But yeah, otherwise that would be it for this lesson. I'll put the class problems up in a few seconds. Okay, so this is the class problems, and just make sure to do them so that you're good on concepts. So this is the top part is the regular problems. Lower part is the challenge problems. So first do these, and if you're competent, then do the challenge problems. Otherwise, yeah. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can put them in the comments below. But otherwise, that would be it for this lesson.